Team BengalMac versus Team the Crutch going into game 2. What are your thoughts here, Ting? What do you think should be picked? As we're already seeing Argus. Nobody likes Argus, man. They just
Yeah,
they
thank
don't want
God.
him in there.
Get rid of him. Thank you very much. Like, yeah, I don't want to see that hero. Then maybe we can also get rid of Quang, but I think there is an argument to be made that Quang is in quite a different spot. We also saw Argus go through a few times, but I'm hoping we're not going to see it for this final at least. But yeah, for bans, like there could still be like an argument to be made to ban away that Bellica, to ban away that Rampage, to ban away the Quang. Like I think either one of those heroes is fine. We didn't really see any Richter prior in that last game. Certainly something that is interesting to see. Usually teams also value that hero really highly.
Definitely, definitely. And I'm trying to understand, like, what is the hatred for Argus? I understand Bellica. I understand some of these other characters, but Argus, I don't like. Sure, he's an oppressive support, but like, what is the real reason? Like, what is your thought?
I mean, it's just like the easiest stun to hit in the game with the Q also going down in cooldown every time you level it. Then the E not only blocks blinks, but is also just a menace in team fights, disrupting the enemy team. And then the RMB, honestly, like it would seem that this is the main part of the kit, but with how the hero plays out, it's just mainly around that Q and that E combo together with that execute mechanic on that ultimate. So I'm still like 100% sure that Robbie just doesn't like short people. So he adds a hero like that for us to do the same.
Yeah, calling out Robbie. I know he's in the chat right now, just like, wait a minute. But yeah, so I guess there you have it, folks. RGSAs, if you're listening, people don't like Argus. I don't know if that's going to elicit any sort of change, but I mean, me personally, I like him. He's fun to play, right? But
Yeah, he's
there we
fun to
go.
play for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Team BengalMac, as we stated, they are going to take Zars as the first pick. Didn't ban him. Instead, they're going to be the ones to take that first pick, get him on their side, and I'd love to see that maybe in the jungle role, right? I love Zars in the jungle because he can just run around, and any ult is a scary ult to be in. And the counter pick from Team Crutch is going to be the Rampage and the Quang together. And how are you feeling now after looking at these couple picks coming out?
I mean, a lot of respect being shown to Oku, just picking away that Zara's in that first rotation, but giving up so much in return, giving up that Rampage, giving up that Quang. I would still expect that Zara's to be played off lane. I think the matchup into the Quang, most likely going to be the Quang off lane, should be pretty, yeah, I mean, pretty even, like all things considered. Like Quang is still going to be a menace once he finishes up that Fire Blossom, but I think Zara's can have a decent time. So we see BengalMac focusing up on that Twin Blast again.
Yeah, Team BengalMac liking the Twin Blast. Actually, I like the decision here for Kyaruga. I guess not necessarily saying he's a one trick, but if the Twin Blast is working, why change it, right? I feel like he was still effectively in the game, and then the combination of Narbash, maybe BengalMac feeling the Narbash a little bit more. Again, I don't know. I like to see Muriel with Twin Blast sometimes, but Narbash can work as people tend to pick Chalice in the beginning, right? For Twin Blast, that's like the go-to build. And if you got a Narbash to kind of counteract any damage that happens, it allows him to stay in lane longer. So I get it, but there we go.
Ooh.
Team the Crutch picking a Countess. I don't think I've seen a Countess all day, but if I know what I know that TJ, aka Gwassi, is going to be the Countess.
Yeah, I think we've seen it in Grati's team. I think Ragnarok, their jungler, picked it up a few times earlier today, but that was always in the jungle, as I just said. And now it's most likely, as you just said, gonna be a Countess in the mid lane, as we are gonna have the second bands roll in as well. It's going to be the Kai band away. People like to play the Kai into the Rampage because you can just always follow up on the jump of Rampage, also cleanse away from that stun. So traditionally, that was always one of those counters. Now, Team BengalMac also has one ban available. Thinking what they want to pick or what they want to ban here, actually.
Interesting. Okay, so we got the steel ban coming out. Makes sense. Why not remove some CC? I know that's in like PCC or recent tournaments, The steal was one that you almost always wanted to ban. It was either steal or Richter. Like, hey, we got to ban one of these. So it makes sense. I'm curious to see if Richter's going to be a pick here. But while we're waiting for the next one, just a little fun fact: Gwassi, actually, his top played hero, to no one's surprise, is Countess with 472 matches and nearly 70% win rate. So that's needless to say, that's definitely a comfort pick. But it looks like to accommodate or to augment that team, we're going to add in a Decker for Team Crutch, and I'm kind of curious to see what the ADC pick is going to be here for them moving forward.
Yeah, but this team looks pretty scary already, not gonna lie. Like a lot of hard CC together with that single target lockdown as well that Countess has with her ultimate. This looks like some really juicy ganks. Definitely a rough team comp to play into. What does Team BengalMac do? They go for that Muriel again. That's gonna be the Muriel in the mid lane, Grux in the
Interesting.
off lane. So strong laner in that off lane. Sarah's probably gonna be jungle, could be swapped around with that Grux, but the Muriel in the mid lane, we've seen that in the semis. Now we see it in the finals as well.
Honestly, at a glance, I don't hate the Muriel, right? I imagine it's going to be Muriel mid. We saw them do it in a previous game. So Muriel mid versus a Countess, if they can gank mid every single time and kind of keep that Countess from getting any sort of traction throughout the game, that could be the play. And, I could see it happening. But if you allow that Countess to start joining into fights with the Rampage, with the Quonk, right? A Rock, a Root, a Countess ult, that's just going to be a kill every time. There's a lot of stuns for Team Crutch. And almost equal amount of stuns from Team BengalMac. But both sides, honestly, looking pretty good based off these picks.
And with a bunch of stuns, the Crutch also goes for the Drongo for even more hard CC, making sure that silence is gonna make sure that the enemy is gonna stay inside of that stunned place. But yeah, definitely that Muriel gonna be an interesting pickup with the Ceres also on the Colosseum together with a Muriel ult, maybe just gonna be able to one-shot people. It's also gonna deny a lot of lane making by the counters, but it all depends on how well he can actually lane into this. This is definitely a lane we haven't seen so far. It's gonna be I'm gonna call it myself. Like I obviously don't have the stats, but I highly doubt we've ever seen that in a tournament game. So we are gonna at least write history in this one.
Yep, and I think that's going to be the cue. We are set to start this one underway. Game 2 of the finals, BFC4. Ladies and gentlemen, please let me see some hype in the chat. I don't care what emotes you got. Toss them in there. Let's get underway. How are we feeling about this match? We got game 2 starting right here, right now. Gwassi going to be in that mid lane versus the Muriel, and then Big Opes again on that Drongo play. Love to see that. And then Tekken Kid. I've seen Tekken Kid on the Grux a few times. He's one of those people that, like, again, in the off lane, Tekken Kid can kind of hold his own no matter what the character. However, I think Sevarog is probably one of my least favorite heroes to speak on. Not to say that last match had anything to do with that, but Grux is definitely something that I've seen Tekken Kid carry.
Yeah, definitely allows him a lot of playmaking. Usually wins lanes. It's always the thing against the Quang, though. Quang kind of cheats a lot of lanes, but just having really low resource cost on his RMB together with a really good trading tool, giving him that shield on his damage ability as well. We see a bit of a standard start. We see just sort of everybody holding back, making sure, yes, this is a final game. We are going to take this quite a bit serious. So we are going to vote, or like at least look at all the jungle entrances, make sure that the enemy respects our privacy as well.
Right. And kind of, typical setup here. You kind of want to get a nice little ward on your blue buff, just a preliminary thing. Ideally, if you're the jungler, getting a ward on that 5 camp is a great one to get, but there's a lot of risk that comes with that if the other team is ready for it. But no, that's going to be a ward on the blue buff, and a typical posture here from both sides. Not a whole lot to not a whole lot of cheeky stuff going on. I didn't see any 5-man invades. Actually, I take that back. I saw one where Boinks' team did manage to do a 5-man invade effectively. But that was about the only one I saw throughout the day.
Tekken misses his RMB, lane is lost. We can go mid lane now. No, like definitely interesting lanes to watch. I mainly want to look at that mid lane though. Like we're hovering over it now. It's gonna be, yeah, like a treat to watch how Gussi, how Pop Arrow is gonna pilot that Muriel in the mid lane. Usually the range characters win out at the beginning and then sort of fall off a tiny bit, especially with the wave being so short. Now Crutch already showing himself in the offlane.
Now, Pop Hero, fun fact, guys, Pop Hero is the only controller player, and, you know, he's up there a little bit. Favorite hero is Kira, but I don't know if anyone else can confirm this, but is there a lot of aim assist when you play on controller in this game? I haven't tested it out myself. I'm curious if there's any real advantages. There's a little bit of a trade coming out from Countess, looking to get some early damage. Managed to get a little bit of vision in the jungle just to see where Zaros was at. But yeah, back to that question. How much aim assist is there really?
I think I know a few actually TV players in Europe as well. Really good, but I think it's also just like PlayStation players. Like some of them are actually pretty cracked. So like even if there is a decent amount of aim assists, like they are still definitely pretty proficient on that controller. Like I personally wouldn't be able to relate at all. Like I am just absolutely running it down every time I touch a controller. But yeah, I'm sure the Countess is going to be fine in the mid lane.
You see it here and now and then as the off lane looks like pressure going in favor of Tekken Kid. Man, the Grux early game, the bleeds from each and every ability that is utilized is just so oppressive. And you know, Akarim on the Kwang, he's got the right mouse to kind of stop some of that. But that's going to be the gold buff. I didn't actually see who got that. I want to say that Big Opes got it, but it could have gone either way there. I'm not sure if you caught it as well.
I think it was actually that Twin Blast collecting that with his Q. I think it could have gone either way. We don't really have a way to easily check it. So we can just pretend we know it's the Twin Blast because that's the more likely sort of scenario. Gussi in the mid lane is doing pretty well. 25 CS should be about even with the Muriel, even ahead. Just able to stick in this lane with all that lifesteal he gets.
Yeah, Gussi, I think if you're the mid laner, and that's exactly what he's doing. That if you're Countess in the mid lane versus a ranged hero, you go right click, right? Normally you want to go with your E first, that wave of damage, but the right click is going to help give you that sustain. But Calypto looking for a gauge early, and this is kind of what we were talking about, is focusing on that Countess. That's going to be a forced blink out of Gussi, so the next engage, should he decide to do it, might result in a kill on the Countess, and Countess now has to be careful to step up. But Crutch responding by also looking into the jungle. That's a rock onto the Zaris, and I'm not sure who exactly went. I think it's going to go to the Rampage early game as far as the trades go, but not a whole lot resulting from that. Just a rock and a backup, and fairly normal first 5 minutes here in game number 2.
Usually with that Zaris Rampage matchup, as we see her engage on the mid lane, no mana left for Gussi. He's not going to be able to all in, but definitely scary Countess right there. It's going to get the river, but usually with that Rampage Zaris, as long as the Zaris can dodge out on the Q damage with the barricade, he should be fine. But Gussi forces out the blink by Muriel, might use that flower in order to buy some space. He's not going to be able to catch up though, but still, Muriel forced to blink out in the isolated 1v1.
Yeah, that's a great decision there from Gussi. I mean, he realized that he had shoved it out, and I respect the play from Muriel to try and secure that river buff, as that might have allowed Muriel to at least stay a little bit longer. But now hopping over into the offlane, Akarim trading out with Tekken Kid, and he's got the help of the Crutch. Tekken Kid in danger here, might go down. There's the outplay from the flower, getting away. Now Akarim in a bit of an awkward situation as the roots coming out. Neither one connecting there, and that's going to result in Tekken Kid opting to disengage. Probably the smart choice there. He stays around. Gussi's definitely hunting for some sort of target as
executes.
The blink does come out. The counter blink from the Crutch, and there's the first blood, and that's going to go to the side of the Crutch.
Yeah, it goes over. It looks a bit silly that Rampage blinks after, but it's just so he makes sure that it's not going to be an execute under tower. If it was an execute, then no gold gained for the side of of the Crutch, of course. So yeah, definitely well played by the Rampage, saving his blink before to make sure that there is not going to be any outplay potential to be had for the Grux. Now that Grux blinked away, he's just going to follow, secure that first one, and it's definitely looking upward.
Yeah, looking good indeed, but I'm curious to see how this mid lane is going to continue to play out. Is it going to be Gwassi who gets that momentum, or is the Muriel going to start getting oppressive as the Muriel items come online? I think that's going to be Kyaruga securing that one. So if he got the first one, he definitely got that one, as it looked like a grenade managed to finish off the gold buff there. And Kyaruga feeling good. He's a level ahead of, or at least he was ahead of the Decker, but maintaining that lead as Tekken Kid gonna receive an ult from the Muriel. Calypto also collapsing onto Akarim, as now in a 3v1 situation, you're not getting out of that one. And that's part of the downside of having or going against a Muriel, is you're just never, ever in a true 1v1.
Yeah, I already see him spamming his mid question mark pings coming out as well. But yeah, no, it's really rough with the Muriel in mid lane being able to go there. Now Gwassi goes onto the rest of the members just buying space because the Fangtooth is being started off the back end of this. On the other side of the map, though, we see the mini prime being traded out for it as well.
Yeah, I love the call for the Fangtooth and then the immediate call to go for the mini prime. This is just exactly what you want to do. This is Predecessor 101, right? If you're in the position to at least trade out one objective versus the other, you know, you're not as far behind. But Gwassi, still very healthy here, could definitely collapse onto Tekken Kid. That's going to be a knockup. That's going to be an elimination. Gwassi, I believe, did secure that. If we could double check the scoreboard whenever a moment is available. But Muriel now finding himself in an awkward position in a 1v3. Probably shouldn't have been there. That's going to be the Muriel going down. And yes, it is Gwassi securing 2 of those kills. And that's not somebody you want to give kills early on in the game.
It definitely isn't. Stacks that blood tithe passive as well to make sure she is going to have more lifesteal in the late game. Didn't quite catch who got the mini prime. If we could spectate the Sarah's there for a second, maybe we could see if the mini prime is on him. If not, they already got it off Tekken Kid with that kill. It does look like, actually, we are not going to know. We are just going to see it afterwards, but no problem. But yeah, Sarah's also being forced to blink away. Yeah, good job. Now we see that Sarah's has it. So at least not the worst of it coming off those kills. At least that mini prime is still on the jungler.
Right, being able to at least utilize some of that buff. It's one of the worst feelings is whenever you secure a mini prime and then immediately die right afterwards. You hate to be that guy, but moving forward into the game, setting the pace early. We got 3 kills on the side of Team the Crutch. Feeling good moving forward, managing to secure an objective. Calypto looking for a gank, and Gwassi, I'm not sure that he has blink available just yet. There's the ult coming out, but okay, the blink was available. Now it's gone. Next gank is definitely going to result in an elimination onto Gwassi. But Pop Hero managing to shove him away, at least for the moment, and they're making all the right moves, right? Gwassi getting those 2 kills, and now the counteract gank is definitely something you want to do. Try and keep him held down, but relatively quiet back and forth here, and a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit more safe start from both sides.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but Dual Lane wants to change that. Crutch is going to force out the blink by Narvash. Good disengage, though, is going to make sure that they are going to be safe. Counters in the mid lane, waited with her blink, importantly, after the Colosseum was down. So she was safe there. That's one of the mistakes people make. Narvish, no blink now. It's gonna be stunned up by Crutch. Forced out the Muriel blink, have to disengage. Crutch going lower, pops the BM of Calypso, is close by though as well. There is no ultimate up though for this fight. Crutch is going lower, secures that gold buff, maybe out of spite. Now Drongo is the target. The rest of the members are coming. Gwassi is there as well. It's gonna go onto the Ceres with the ultimate, but the shields from Muriel is gonna save her. Now knockup connects from the crash bang boom. Gwassi goes lower and lower, but it's so tanky for no reason. Level 8 is gonna be fine. Only 1 member drop.
Yeah, Gwassi. I feel for Gwassi right there, man. Anytime a Muriel ult saves somebody, especially expending all the ult, getting away with 1 HP, Gwassi down to the very slim 1 HP. Oh my goodness. Managing to stay alive, but I don't think the T1's going to go down. He's going to make it out there. Unfortunately, did not get a kill for his troubles, and only 1 person going down through all of that craziness.
Durango was the only one going down, but, big but, the Rampage got the gold buff. So everything worth it, no problem at all. Crutch is getting bigger as that Overlord finished already. Usually I see people prefer to go that Basilisk instead, but we saw him pop off last game, so I am just gonna wait for him to do the same again here. Pop Hero does not have the shield up, and you can see the damage coming out of the Countess already.
Right, Countess now has got one item online. Looks like he's going to be opting for the path of the Spectral Greaves. Just a standard thing, but here's that gank yet again. Gwassi definitely does not have a teleport, but he is going to manage to kind of dance around here, not dying to Calypto just yet. Does go down. Here's the counter game coming from the Crutch to try and get something back, but Pop Hero also in trouble. Calipito also in trouble from the rotation from Akarim, as Tekken Kid is going to be signaled to try and just shove that lane. Whether or not he rotates remains to be seen. But well played from both sides here. Again, only one person going down, Gwassi, and relatively even back and forth so far.
Relatively even. Muriel dodging out on the tether on the back end of that. Manages to survive. That is a really good play for him because Oku lost waves in the meanwhile. As you mentioned, Tekken Kid just shoved that under tower. It's going to be a bit of an XP lead. And now with that, maybe he can transition it into contesting that Fangtooth. But Oku as well is just not going to play on the lane anymore. We are going to have a 5v5 around that Fangtooth.
5v5, the first real team fight of the game. I think this is going to be a big one, and it's going to be the side of Tekken Kid. BengalMac TV, by the way, starting that, putting the pressure on. Stun coming out. That's going to be Grux pulling in the ADC. Ult coming out from the Muriel, resulting in so much going on at one time. Enemy team managing to take out. I think that's going to go in favor of Team BengalMac. Managing to secure the Raptor. Calipito popping that. Going down is the Twin Blast and the Grux. So far, a 1-2 trade here. Calipito also going down. Now 3-1. And I think that's going to be Gwassi's team managing to come out on top there.
Yeah, 4-1. Pop Hero also just gonna have a bit of a funny execute. That shouldn't have been kill credit given over, but I could be wrong. I didn't quite catch that. But yeah, 5 members ended up dropping. They did secure that Fangtooth, importantly. So even though it looked as bad as it could have, at least they get that objective. It was a bit of a funny situation. I just saw the Rampage getting double knocked up with the Crash Bang Boom by the Narvish together with that Muriel ultimate. Also doing the same. So it looked a bit like a Mario Party in there. But the party was all in favor of the Crush's team.
Yeah, nice back and forth there, managing to even out now the Raptor count 1-1, 14 minutes in. So, like I said, relatively slow start, but things are starting to pick up here 15 minutes into the game. Now looking maybe to check or to take a look or at least grab a ward onto that mini prime, as that's going to be the next objective of contention. But a large wave here crashing onto the duo lane. Big Opes might have to give this one up. That's exactly what he's going to do. As Grux on the opposite side looking to press down into the offlane. But no, that's just going to be a wave crashing and disengaging. As Calipito looking to start that mini prime. The Crutch is right here, so he does have the potential to jump in and steal it if he wants. But nice job by the Mule to try and zone him out. And I think that's going to result in a disengage. Calipito thought better of it. Doesn't want to try and force anything if he doesn't have to. Maybe go back to farming and look for a different opportunity to try and take that objective.
Waves being a bit awkward mid lane in favor of the team of the Crutch. Meanwhile, mid lane is the opposite. So like neither team really feels confident enough to start up that objective, which makes sense. Dual lane also kind of both carry players together with the support still sticking over there. So they don't really want to run the risk of getting collapsed on that mini prime. So they're just gonna get some wards and then just disengage. As we see, Grux kind of having lane control against the Quang, not something you want to see necessarily. because it just kind of means that Kwang, if he does not feel confident enough to actually do anything against the Grux, so has to bleed a few minions there. But I think we see members invested over towards that left side, kind of looking into the red side jungle, are just gonna make sure to hover around, make sure to track the enemy junglers, and now they have vision where the Ceres is, and that's gonna make the life a lot easier for that Kwang on the offlane that can contest the wave side.
Yeah, I mean, this is the game of small decisions, right? And that small decisions are made based off of small little tidbits of information. So anytime you can get some eyes on the jungler, be like, all right, he's over here, you're free to do this, that's extremely valuable. But it looks like Calipito has managed to make his way back over the side and stealing the river buff from Guasi. That's a little bit of a tilter, but you know, he's full mana, so it doesn't hurt too much. Should be able to go to the opposite side, grab the other river buff, and continue on his way. But duo lane now in a bit of a scuffle, and I think that's going to be Ope in trouble if I'm understanding the situation correctly. He's down to low effective HT. This is going to prompt a rotation from Guasi. As Pop here, I believe the ult was utilized by the Muriel. Now Guasi in a 1v3. Is he going to be able to do anything here? Looking, but there's huge shields coming out, and I think a lot of these picks have been countered, but Guasi does manage to get one. BengalMac, one effective HP. Guasi realizing that he probably has a thunk available, takes him out, but Pop Hero actually doing a lot of damage. I think Guasi is going to end up going down here. Oh my god, so much healing, but Pop Hero still gets that level up in the nick of time and comes out with the kill. Nice little trade back and forth, but Guasi almost getting all three.
Always such a treat to watch an on-hit Muriel play. Uses the Typhoon to get close on top of counters. Beta in to try the all-in, but Muriel has enough damage. I think with that Stormbreaker, probably the item pop she goes, maybe the Prophecy, we are not quite sure yet. But with those kills, they're looking for that mini Prime Tekken Kid. Is gonna be able to contest this though. Buff goes over to Rampage though. It's gonna get knocked up. Grux in trouble. It's gonna use those shields by Muriel, and Kwang is going lower and lower. Behemoth now dropped by the Rampage that still takes so much damage from the Grux. Has to disengage with the power jump. Muriel is close by, still chasing. Forces out the blink, and with that, the mini Prime at least stays alive.
Yeah, I think as soon as the Grux was sticking around, that should have been the indication for them to try and start backing up, right? If he's taking a 2v or a 1v2, that means that more people are on the way. So fortunately, the Rampage managing to make it out with the buff, but now this is going to signal Calipito to start the second Fangtooth, and the second Fangtooth is always a nice one to get that movement speed increase, and that is going to be the result of that. Guasi still going in though, looking for something, gets thunked for his troubles, and I think that's going to be a blink from the Narbash. No, excuse me, Narbash does that. He just gets completely deleted, didn't see where he went. He's out of the game, dead for his troubles, but managing to secure the Fangtooth on the side of Calipito and BengalMac TTV. So they're feeling good, getting a few objectives, and so far so good as far as trading objectives goes.
Yeah, definitely not on the train of support lives matter right there. Just leaving the Narbash out to dry. They're happy just getting rid of that Fangtooth instead, granting them that bonus movement speed out of combat. But yeah, in that fight, we saw again Guasi just on that Narbash dealing 75% HP just with one rotation, not even utilizing that ultimate for that. And with lockdown from Decker as well, that was just an easy kill onto the Narbash. Now pushing down on that offlane. Grux is a bit in trouble. It's going to go low HP, but always the thing with counters is that she can always slip back as Crutch is looking for a dive towards the dual lane.
Yeah, like the dive here, and Crutch now looking to cut the wave. Gonna throw a rock, not gonna land. And now he actually might be in trouble. There's gonna be the ult coming out from the Zarus. Somehow, I guess it gets canceled. He's able to make it out alive. The Behemoth coming out, but I don't think it's gonna save him as he's gonna go down as there's a huge 4v2 scenario now happening in the dual lane. That's gonna prompt for them to completely disengage. Definitely not gonna get anything effective out of that. And unfortunately, the Orb Prime not being utilized as the jungler there getting caught out.
Jungler getting caught out. Ceres doesn't get the stack though because the Colosseum vanishes. If you double tap the R key, it does vanish, but sometimes it vanishes regardless. So might have been just bad luck right there for the Ceres to not get that stack. Definitely does sting, but it's still Yeah, it's actually a level 2 ultimate, so that would have been 7 stacks he gets there. So it definitely stings a bit, but at least they get the mini prime off. You just said it. So that was the target. That is still their prize. They also get the kill on the rampage. Definitely not feeling too salty about that.
Yep, definitely moving forward here. It's a little bit closer of a game than the previous one, but Calipito managing to maintain control throughout the jungle, does get the 5 camp from the rampage, just a little consolation prize and getting out. The 2 camp though is always the one that you want to make sure you get every single time. But going into 21 minutes on the game, currently 12-8, as there's a back from the Ope. And Guasi looking for another engage here in mid. Not a whole lot going on now as we're kind of waiting for the next objective that's going to start pulling all the players to one side or the other.
You can see how scared the Muriel is, though, of the counters in the mid lane. Respected, always backs off. The strength of Muriel is that she doesn't necessarily need wave pressure, because instead she can just always cheat it with her ultimate in order to get across the map with just the press of one button to see Kwang and make the way down mid lane as well. Muriel is the target. Tether connects. Ultimate does as well. BengalMac is close by to try to save, but the ultimate, the feast by Guasi, is just gonna seal the deal.
A massive ult. He actually managed to latch on as the Muriel blinked away. So beautifully played there by Guasi. But now the rotation's coming out. Akram opting to engage here. There's the Behemoth coming out from the Rampage. Rampage now in. This is looking like it could go one way or the other. The Rock does finally get used. That's going to be Calipito opting to back up out of the fight. Blink being utilized. Thunk coming out onto Akram. And now shoving down mid is all 5 on the side of BengalMac. This might just prompt them to try and do something crazy. Is he going to pull Orb Prime here? I don't know. I don't know if this is necessarily the play, but the Twin Blast is going to be out of the fight for another 14 seconds. So there could be potential to make something happen, but no, I think the call here is going to be just to back off and maybe reset and go next.
And go next. Hopefully not next game, because this is a best of 3. It's looking a bit spicy, so they definitely have to stay in this game a bit longer. But yeah, that counters deleting the Twin Blast off the back end of the fight. They were going in a bit too deep, trying to get that shutdown on counters, but she's just too slippery. Manages to evade a few hard CC, and if you can't lock her down, then it is just good night for you instead. About good night, Muriel in the mid lane is getting engaged on again, and just one shot. And God, with the Typhoon as a crest choice, she doesn't even have any counterplay to it.
Just no chance in hell to survive a Countess gank, especially Guasi managing to get a lot of kills on the board. So he's got several items, just huge burst potential, and that is going to prompt the Fangtooth to be pulled. Now this is Primal Fangtooth, so I believe the contest is going to come out. They're not going to opt to trade one or the other, but huge damage from Guasi going on to last. Guasi does eventually go down. And the Muriel now going to be up in a few seconds, so if not able to close out this fight, the Muriel is going to be a factor. But the Crutch taking out the Grux now and looking to continue the trade as Calipito does pop out an ult. The Blink being utilized on the Rampage, but ulting a little bit too late. He's going to go down. Akram 1 HP. Calipito taking him out. Big Opes now realizing that he's in trouble. He goes down. There's a triple kill coming out, and I think we saw it. That definitely went in favor of Team BengalMac, but it didn't seem like it at first, and that should be the Fangtooth for them.
It should be the Fangtooth. They have the Narva shielding together with the shields from Muriel, so should be able to sustain through it. Still, it's a bit spicy, but it's only Decker alive for now. Counters and has respawned in time, but I don't think she will be able to make it for that Fangtooth. That's going to be the third Fangtooth of the game as well for them. So it doesn't only grant them those temporary buffs, it's also going to be that permanent buff that the other team managed to pick up in that last game. So honestly, even though they are behind in kills, with that Fangtooth collected, with that Primal Fang also on their members, feeling like they are in the driver's seats already.
Right. All they really have to do here is reset and kind of force a fight on Prime. If they shove out all the waves, they force a fight on Prime, it's going to be harder to contest, and it's going to force the side of the Crutch to try and to make something happen, right? You definitely don't want to give up both buffs if you can help it. But I believe that's going to be the next fight as we're entering a bit of a quiet period here. Both sides kind of resetting, taking a momentary breath before going next. And the area of focus right now is going to be in that mid area. And I think that the side of BengalMac is going to start looking to press their advantage. They are now setting up for that Orb Prime. And I think this is going to be the next big fight as they're looking to pull.
They're looking to pull. They're just starting it up quite yet at the moment. Deca is going to the left lane, so is Countess. So it does look like a no contest. They don't want to fight into the Primal Fang, and with that Primal Fang, we just see the insane damage coming out of their team, just managing to burst it down in a second. And yeah, now double bubble buff collected onto BengalMac's team. They're looking to push down the mid lane.
Yeah, they're down in kills, but they are not down in objectives. And I think BengalMac, with both of those objectives secured, big hopes. He was stunned there for a second, does manage to back up, and that's definitely going to be a dead T2. But the both side lanes are pushed out. The mid lane is kind of their only point of contention here, and they should be able to defend this as long as no big mistakes are made. I know that the inkling here is to try and get out there and try and force something to happen, but you definitely don't want to do that. Big Ope almost going down for that. He's gonna have to back up, otherwise he's going down. There's a hunt coming out on Akarim. Backing up is the Rampage, but Akarim going in, I don't think that was the time, and he's gonna be a free kill for the side of BengalMac, and this is starting to look scary.
No Shadow Leap on Countess. Had to disengage, so Quang just dies for nothing. Now they're teaching down the core. Beam off dropped by the Rampage. Countess goes in onto the TV with no cleanse, but has to blink out. The rest of the members too strong. They're pushing down the core.
Oh my gosh, I think this might just be the game. It's only the Drongo that's going to survive. This next wave is definitely going to do it. You got the Narbash heal. You've got the shields. Looking down the barrel of a gun is Big Opes. There's a thunk. He's gone. And that is going to be game number 2 going to the side of Tekken Kid. And wow, take a look at the scoreboard. What a game.